In this segment of our educational series, we're going to go over how to introduce your kitten to your home and how to introduce your kitten to an existing pet. Now please keep in mind these are also on my blog, so feel free to go look at the blog and see the writing or watch this video again. So if you go online and you type in how to introduce my kitten to my home, a lot of times the big theory out there is limitation. So basically you're going to limit the space that your kitten is going to be introduced, and over time you're going to be expanding that space. So the biggest reason why they're saying limit your space is because litter box issues. The bigger the space that they have to navigate, the further they have to travel to get to a litter box. However, if you have a big space and you have multiple litter boxes in multiple locations, they can pretty much handle that big space. It shouldn't be an issue. Like that's our situation right here. We have a pretty large house. These kittens are not being stored in a cage, not being stored in a small area or even a bedroom. They have the run of the house. However, we have a litter box in every little area. We have 3 litter boxes down on this first floor alone. And we got 2 litter boxes on the second floor. So again, wherever they go, there's a litter box close by. So they're able to handle the large space because of that reason alone. So your Bengal kittens are already used to a big space. But if you're uncomfortable having an unsightly litter box in your living room somewhere or all over the place, then limit the space. Something else that you can try is you can give it a go, let them have the run of the house with the litter box where you want it to be, and see if they're good enough to run to the litter box. Some of the kittens may in fact be mature enough that they can hold it, go to the litter box, and it's not an issue. And of course you won't find out until you give it a try. And if it does become an issue, if you're starting to see like little presents that your kitten wants to show how much they love you, then you know that the space is too big for them and you have to limit the space. So that's the biggest reason why they say that. Plus, kittens have very low spatial awareness. They only see so far ahead. And if they can't find you or know where they are, they tend to cry out, "Mommy, Mommy, where are you? Where are you?" So, you know, especially in a new home, your kitten starts to panic and cry out. It's because they lost where they are. They don't know. So that's another thing about big spaces, is that they may get a little disoriented and lost as they're trying to figure it out. As they get older, their spatial awareness gets much, much better, along with their memory, along with their potty holding skills. So all that improves with time. So it's up to you whether you want to start small and work your way up to big, or try big, see what happens. And if something happens, make it smaller. So that's basically the best way to introduce your kitten to your home, and make sure that they're aware where the food is and the litter box is. And also, when it comes to feeding your Bengal, don't forget to leave dry food out all the time, wet food out all the time. Feed your cat. I suggest at dinner time, because you're eating, they're social animals, are going to want to eat when you eat. And if you don't want a Bengal pestering you, then feed them too, because they'll be too busy eating to pester you. So that's an added benefit. And another added benefit is if you start feeding them in the morning, they're going to want to wake you up to get their food. They have a bad sense of time. So if you don't want your Bengal waking you up for food, don't train it to expect it in the morning. Feed them at night. That way you don't have to worry about that. And then, of course, another really cool feature about food is it's a great motivational item. So before you give any wet food, use a food call. A word or a sound that you can make that will signify it's food time. Kind of like, ringing the bell. Ding, 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 ding. It's food time. Now, the reason why you want to do a food call is because you're going to train them to come out to you to this food call. Okay? And if you ever in a situation where you don't know where your cat is and you're afraid that this cat escaped the house or hurt or anything, you have a way to get your cat to come to you. A food call. So you're setting up the groundwork to train them to come to you by using that opportunity. You have to feed them anyway, so just use that opportunity to create a food call for them. So that's a really good way. And then also your kitten is going to come to your house a little bit, apprehensive. What's going on? They should be curious. It might take them a little while. The transition time for them to get used to your home, it depends on every cat, okay? And so their behavior might change a little bit when they get into your home before they finally, come out of that that period of transition and become the Bengal you're going to enjoy and love for the rest of your life. But if you want to help with that transition, Comfort Zone. Comfort Zone is a product. You can get it at PetSmart and Petco, but I wouldn't do it. They mark it up like 200-fold. I would get it on eBay, like lot auctions. eBay is the cheapest. You can get it $50 at PetSmart, $20 to $25 on eBay. So again, big difference. What Comfort Zone is it creates a good atmosphere for the Bengal to feel comfortable in. We already use it in our cattery to keep our breeding Bengals happy and not spraying and marking my home. That's how I can keep them out of the cages. The Comfort Zone really makes a difference. They let me know when I need to, put another one in. The refill, it goes right into the wall, and the refill lasts for a month. So the refill needs to get replaced once a month, and the actual diffuser that goes into the wall socket needs to get replaced once every 6 months. So that will really help, at least for the first month, to help with that transition. And if you get the Comfort Zone spray, you can always spray the carrier prior to coming here. I'd say about an hour before you come here, because you don't want a wet carrier. No Bengal wants to sit in a wet carrier. So spray it an hour before you come here, and it will help them be much more comfortable in the carrier. And if you want to understand how Comfort Zone works, you can actually go right on the Comfort Zone website, and it explains how the technology works. It's all natural. It's odorless. You can't smell it. It's only something that cats can detect. That's it. It's a pheromone specifically produced and synthesized from cats. So that's really good for setting up a really comfortable atmosphere for your Bengal. As far as introducing your Bengal to a new existing pet, be it a cat, dog, or other animal, I suggest in the beginning supervised visitation. Watch for the interaction, and if it's a negative interaction, then you need to separate them and start nice and slow. So there's a lot of literature online that talks about a lot of different ways. One is it says to isolate your pet in the beginning so that your pet can get used to your home before it has to get used to a companion. Okay? Bengals are extremely social animals. They love everybody. And kittens, 8-week kittens, they're the least threatening you can come. So honestly, that very, very slow approach, that's good for a lot of animals, but for Bengals, you might not need to actually travel that slow approach, that really long, separating them and doing that whole, you might be able to throw your Bengal in with another pet and it's fine. But the only thing that you need to look for is aggression. So your existing animal might at first, be kind of apprehensive. What the heck is this? It might feel threatened. It might feel territorial. It might feel like it's a usurper coming in. One really good way to help your new cat or your new animal, I should say, accept your existing Bengal kitten is positive reinforcement. Every single time there's a positive interaction, you reward your pet with a treat. Eventually, your pet's going to associate kitten with treat. Hopefully, not the kitten as a treat, especially if it's a dog. You don't want the Bengal kitten to be the treat. But, treat when the Bengal's around, and that will help out a lot too. And you can also do negative reinforcement. So if your animal hisses or growls, you can either take the kitten away or you can take them away. So you're giving them the idea, if you're going to be aggressive to this pet kitten, then you're going to be removed. Or you can just take the kitten away. Kitten away is probably a better idea. But yeah, so if they're wrestling and tussling, you know, what you should look out for is if the kitten is expressing anxiety and being vocal and hissing and growling. As long as the kitten is not hissing and growling and expressing anxiety, it's fine. The kitten might be having the time of their life, and if you separate them, the kitten's like, oh, what'd you do that for? You know, we have a lot of other adult Bengals that are being raised with these kittens. These kittens are already being used to adult cats. And the adult cats sometimes do like to horse around with the kittens. So the kittens are, to a degree, used to a little roughhousing. Now, we keep an eye on it. You know, the adults, they don't harm the kittens. Whenever a kitten expresses any kind of like, leave me alone, then usually the adult stops. And sometimes we'll just step in and be like, all right, break it up. But in general, I mean, they're pretty good about it. And just look for that. Look for cues from the kitten. As long as the kitten seems fine with it, then it's fine. You know, and if anything, what doesn't kill them makes them strong. That was a little joke. Anyway, so that's really the best way, as I say, supervised visits, and make those visits longer and longer. And as long as you don't see any aggression from your main pet, it is completely fine to leave them together. So you don't need to have this forced quarantine period if it's not necessary. If you do see any aggression, then you're going to have to take it slower. And you're going to have to introduce them more gradually, and you will have to separate them until finally they accept one another. So, and that concludes today's talk on how to introduce your Bengal kitten to your home, make them feel comfortable, and how to introduce them to your existing pet by using positive reinforcement to help that bonding process. So, see you again.